From private islands to penthouse suites, we're about to take you on a journey through the most lavish and secretive parties on Earth. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it's like to rub elbows with the world's elite. Why should you care? Because these parties aren't just about fun and games. They're where deals are made, alliances are formed, and decisions are taken that can shape our world. By the time we're done, you'll have an insider's view of these secretive gatherings and understand why they matter to everyone. The veil of secrecy. Now that we've set the stage, let's pull back the curtain on why these billionaire bashes are shrouded in so much mystery. It's not just about keeping the paparazzi at bay. There's a whole lot more going on behind those velvet ropes. First up, privacy. When you're worth billions, everyone wants a piece of you. These parties give the ultra-wealthy a chance to let loose without worrying about every move being scrutinized. Imagine trying to enjoy yourself when your every champagne sip could end up on the front page of tomorrow's tabloids. Not exactly a recipe for a good time, right? But it's not just about avoiding awkward photos. Security is a major concern for billionaires. When you've got that much money, you're always a potential target. These secret soirees allow the rich and famous to mingle without worrying about uninvited guests with less than friendly intentions. It's like Fort Knox, but with better hors d'oeuvres. Then there's the exclusivity factor. Nothing makes something more desirable than being told you can't have it. By keeping their parties under wraps, billionaires create an air of mystery that only adds to their allure. It's the ultimate VIP experience, so exclusive that most people don't even know it exists. But perhaps the biggest reason for all this secrecy is avoiding public scrutiny. Let's face it, in a world where wealth inequality is a hot-button issue, flaunting your riches isn't exactly going to win you any popularity contests. By keeping their lavish parties out of the public eye, billionaires can avoid uncomfortable questions about their spending habits and lifestyle choices. So how do they pull off these clandestine celebrations? The lengths billionaires go to keep their gatherings secret would make a spy movie look tame in comparison. We're talking encrypted invitations that self-destruct after reading. Okay, maybe not quite, but close. Guests often have to sign non-disclosure agreements before they even step foot in the door. It's like joining a secret society, but with better food and fancier outfits. Some billionaires take it even further, using decoy locations or last-minute venue changes to throw off any nosy reporters or uninvited guests. Imagine getting ready for a party, only to find out the address has changed an hour before it starts. Talk about exclusive. Echoes of the past. The year is 1972, and we're about to crash one of the most infamous parties in history, the Rothschild's Illuminati Ball. Picture this, a grand French chateau lit up in eerie orange light, making it look like it's engulfed in hellfire. As you approach, you realize your invitation is written backwards. You'll need a mirror just to read it. Welcome to the world of Marie-Helene de Rothschild, where nothing is quite as it seems. The Rothschilds didn't just throw parties, they created entire alternate realities. Guests at the Illuminati Ball were greeted by servants painted gold, leading them through a maze before they could even enter the party. Talk about making an entrance. But the real showstopper, that would be the hostess herself. Marie-Helene de Rothschild made sure all eyes were on her by wearing a giant stag's head with golden horns. It's like she stepped right out of a surrealist painting, which, given the guest list, isn't too far from the truth. Speaking of guests, this wasn't your average society gathering. The Rothschild circle included some of the most famous and influential people of the time. Audrey Hepburn, the epitome of Hollywood glamour, rubbed elbows with Salvador Dali, the master of surrealism. Can you imagine the conversations that must have taken place? The decor was just as outrageous as the guest list. Occult symbols adorned the walls, adding to the mystical atmosphere. And at the center of it all, tableau of a woman lying on a bed of roses, apparently the victim of a mock human sacrifice. It's like the Rothschilds took every secret society conspiracy theory and decided to bring them to life for one night of extravagant theater. But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just a party, it was a statement. The Rothschilds were showing off their wealth, power, and influence in the most dramatic way possible. They were saying, "We're not just rich, we're in a league of our own." This over-the-top display set the stage for the billionaire parties we see today. The message was clear: normal rules don't apply when you have this much money and power. You can create your own reality, even if it's just for one night. The Illuminati ball became the stuff of legend, inspiring everything from fashion to film. Some say Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut took cues from this very party. It's a testament to the lasting impact of these elite gatherings. They don't just make headlines, they shape our cultural imagination, from birthday bashes to secret soirees. There's a spectrum that ranges from the extravagant and public to the secretive and exclusive. On one end, we have events like Jay-Z and Beyoncé's $200,000 birthday bash for their daughter Blue Ivy. This kind of celebration is all about making a statement, showing off wealth and status to the world. Imagine a party where the cake probably costs more than most people's cars, and the guest list reads like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. But while these public displays of opulence grab headlines, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The real action happens behind closed doors, at gatherings so exclusive that most people don't even know they exist. These are the parties where the true power players come to mingle, far from the prying eyes of the public and the press. Take, for example, the birthday celebration of billionaire Ronald Perlman. Instead of a flashy public event, he opted for a more intimate gathering on his 188-foot yacht in St. Bart's. Picture a select group of the world's elite, sipping champagne on the deck of a floating palace, while Barry Manilow serenades them under the stars. It's the kind of party where a casual conversation by the bar could lead to a multi-million-dollar business deal. Then there's Philip Green, who took the concept of a surprise party to a whole new level. He flew 100 of his closest friends, all fellow members of the Billionaires Club, to the Maldives for his 55th birthday. Imagine waking up one morning to find out you're being whisked away to a tropical paradise for a weekend of luxury and indulgence. That's the kind of spontaneity only billions in the bank can buy. But these parties aren't just about celebrating birthdays or holidays. Often they serve as unofficial summits where the worlds of business, politics, and entertainment collide. It's not uncommon to see a tech mogul rubbing shoulders with a former president, while a Hollywood A-lister chats up a Wall Street tycoon in the corner. These gatherings create a unique ecosystem where influence and power are the real currency. The mixing of celebrities and politicians at these events adds another layer of intrigue. Imagine a world leader discussing foreign policy over caviar with a pop star, or a senator getting stock tips from a hedge fund manager between rounds of golf. These interactions, hidden from public view, can have far-reaching consequences that shape our world in ways we might never know. Now, you might be wondering what actually goes on at these secretive soirees. While the details are closely guarded, we do know that the entertainment is often as extravagant as the guest list. Take J.Lo's 31st birthday bash in Las Vegas. This wasn't just any party. It featured performances from major stars like Britney Spears, a Ferris wheel, and even a circus trampoline. It's like someone took a theme park, mixed it with a music festival, and then cranked the luxury dial up to 11. But here's where things get really interesting. At some of these gatherings, particularly during events like the Cannes Film Festival, there's a darker undercurrent that most people never see. Behind the glitz and glamour, there's a world of illicit activities, including high-end prostitution that often goes overlooked by the public eye. It's a stark reminder that even in the world of the ultra-wealthy, not everything is as shiny and perfect as it seems on the surface. Playgrounds of the ultra-rich. When it comes to billionaire parties, location is everything. These aren't your average backyard barbecues or hotel ballrooms. We're talking about venues that make Gatsby's mansion look like a starter home. Let's start with Hollywood Hills. This exclusive neighborhood is home to some of the most luxurious properties in Los Angeles. Imagine sprawling estates perched high above the city, offering breathtaking views of the skyline. These mansions often come with features like infinity pools, private theaters, and even underground nightclubs. It's not uncommon for a single property here to cost upwards of $50 million. Some billionaires, even Hollywood, isn't exclusive enough. That's where private islands come in. Take Necker Island, owned by Richard Branson. This 74-acre paradise in the British Virgin Islands can accommodate up to 40 guests in absolute luxury. With its own private beach, tennis courts, and even a zip line, it's the perfect playground for the ultra-wealthy. Then there are the penthouses. In cities like New York and London, billionaires shell out astronomical sums for the top floors of the world's most exclusive buildings. We're talking about apartments that cost more than $100 million and offer amenities like private elevators, rooftop pools, and even personal chefs. The opulence of these locations is truly staggering. Take King Abdullah of Jordan's property empire. He's amassed over £70 million worth of luxury homes in the UK and US, all hidden behind a web of offshore companies. In Malibu alone, he owns 3 adjacent oceanfront properties. Imagine hosting a party where you can stroll along your private beach, cocktail in hand, without ever leaving your estate. The costs involved in securing these venues for parties are equally mind-boggling. It's not just about the property value. Billionaires often spend millions on renovations and upgrades just to prepare for a single event. They'll bring in world-class interior designers, landscape architects, and even structural engineers to ensure everything is perfect. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some billionaires aren't content with existing properties, no matter how luxurious. They create their own party venues from scratch. Take Joe Low, the controversial Malaysian billionaire. We're talking about a full-sized Ferris wheel, a circus trampoline, and performances from A-list celebrities. The cost, rumored to be in the tens of millions for a single night. And it's not just about the physical space. These venues often come with their own dedicated staff, from world-class chefs to personal sommeliers. Security is also a major concern. Many of these properties have state-of-the-art systems that would put Fort Knox to shame. We're talking about biometric scanners, underground panic rooms, and even anti-drone technology. But the most outrageous feature of these party locations is their sheer impracticality. Take the Further Future Festival, an offshoot of Burning Man catering to the ultra-wealthy. This event offers unabashed luxury in the middle of the desert. Guests pay $250 for a single meal and stay in fully staffed, climate-controlled accommodations. It's like building a 5-star hotel in the Sahara just for a weekend. The guest list. There are who's who of the world's most powerful and influential people. Tech moguls, politicians, and A-list celebrities all rub shoulders in these exclusive settings. Imagine a party where Elon Musk is chatting with Jeff Bezos by the bar, while Mark Zuckerberg debates the future of social media with a former president. Over in the corner, you might spot Beyoncé and Jay-Z deep in conversation with Warren Buffett about investment strategies. This isn't fantasy, it's the reality of these high-powered gatherings. But how do we know who's attending these ultra-exclusive events? Well, in the age of social media, even billionaires can't resist sharing glimpses of their glamorous lives. Curated Instagram post here, a cryptic tweet there. It's like a puzzle for the public to piece together. Paparazzi photos and insider leaks also play a role in revealing who's who at these secretive soirees. The power dynamics at these parties are fascinating. It's not just about who has the most money. Influence and connections play a huge role. A tech startup founder might find themselves rubbing elbows with established industry titans, hoping to make that one connection that could catapult their company to the next level. Meanwhile, politicians mingle with business leaders, forging alliances that could shape future policies. There's a clear hierarchy at these events, often unspoken but understood by all. The hosts, usually the billionaires themselves, sit at the top. Then come the A-list celebrities and major political figures, followed by successful entrepreneurs and executives. At the bottom of the totem pole, the up-and-comers, the ones still trying to prove themselves in this rarefied world. But here's where it gets really interesting. These parties often bring together unexpected guests, leading to surprising connections and rivalries. Take the infamous feud between Tesla's Elon Musk and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg over artificial intelligence. Their disagreements have played out in public, but it's at these private gatherings where the real fireworks happen. At a recent tech industry party, insiders reported a tense exchange between Musk and Zuckerberg over the future of AI regulation. What started as a cordial conversation reportedly escalated into a heated debate, with other guests awkwardly trying to change the subject. It's moments like these that remind us that even billionaires aren't immune to personal conflicts and professional rivalries. But it's not all tension and rivalry. These parties can also lead to unexpected collaborations. At a charity gala last year, Amazon's Jeff Bezos was seen in deep conversation with Microsoft's Bill Gates. Rumors swirled about a potential partnership split between their respective space exploration companies, Blue Origin and Stratolaunch. While nothing has been officially announced, industry insiders are watching closely for any signs of collaboration. The guest lists at these events can also reveal shifting power dynamics in the business world. As tech companies have grown in influence, their leaders have become fixtures at gatherings once dominated by old money and political elites. It's not uncommon to see young tech billionaires like Snapchat's Evan Spiegel or Stripe's Patrick Collison mingling with established figures like Warren Buffett or George Soros. But it's not just about business and politics. These parties also attract cultural influencers and thought leaders. Oprah Winfrey, for example, is a frequent guest at these elite gatherings, bridging the worlds of media, philanthropy, and business. Her presence often signals the importance of a particular event or cause. The international nature of these guest lists is also worth noting. Russian oligarchs, Middle Eastern royalty, and Asian tech tycoons all make appearances, reflecting the truly global nature of wealth and power in the 21st century. It's not uncommon for a single party to bring together guests from dozens of countries, each with their own agendas and interests. Entertainment fit for kings. Imagine attending a party where the entertainment isn't just a famous musician, it's an entire lineup of A-list performers. That's exactly what happened at Ronald Perlman's birthday bash on his 188-foot yacht in St. Bart's. Picture this: you're sipping champagne on the deck of a floating palace, and suddenly Barry Manilow takes the stage for a private concert. It's like having your own personal music festival, but with better views and a much more exclusive guest list. But live music is just the beginning. These billionaire hosts often create entire fantasy worlds for their guests. Take Sean Parker's wedding, for example. The co-founder of Napster didn't just book a venue, he transformed a forest in Big Sur into a Tolkien-inspired wonderland. Guests walked through a specially constructed gate and stone bridge surrounded by ancient redwoods decorated with twinkling lights. It was like stepping into Middle-earth, complete with custom-made costumes for all 364 guests. The entertainment at these parties is often tailored to reflect the host's personal interests and tastes. If you're a tech billionaire with a passion for science fiction, why not recreate your favorite movie scenes? Or if you're a history buff, you might transport your guests back in time with period-accurate reenactments. The only limit is the host's imagination and their budget. Speaking of budgets, the costs involved in creating these one-of-a-kind experiences are astronomical. Sean Parker's wedding reportedly cost between $5 million and $10 million. That's more than most people will earn in their entire lives, spent on a single day of celebration. But for billionaires, it's just another line item in their party planning spreadsheet. Securing top talent for these events doesn't come cheap either. A-list performers like Britney Spears or Chris Brown, who were hired for Joe Lowe's 31st birthday bash in Las Vegas, can command fees in the hundreds of thousands or even millions for a single performance. And that's not including the cost of flying them in on private jets, accommodating them in luxury suites, and catering to their every whim. But it's not just about throwing money at big names. These parties often feature unique, interactive experiences that you won't find anywhere else. At the Further Future Festival, an exclusive event for wealthy tech entrepreneurs, guests can indulge in $250 dinners prepared by Nobu chefs or participate in smudging aura cleansing rituals. It's like Burning Man meets a five-star resort with a dash of new age spirituality thrown in for good measure. Sometimes the entertainment takes unexpected forms. At Sean Parker's wedding, guests were given live bunnies to cuddle with during the reception. It's a level of whimsy and excess that borders on the absurd, but that's par for the course in the world of billionaire parties. These extravagant displays of wealth and creativity don't always sit well with the public, though. Sean Parker's wedding faced backlash for its environmental impact, leading him to make a $2.5 million donation to conservation efforts. It's a reminder that even in the world of billionaire parties, there can be consequences for going too far. Despite the criticism, the trend of over-the-top entertainment at billionaire gatherings shows no signs of slowing down. As wealth inequality continues to grow, these lavish parties serve as a stark reminder of the gap between the ultra-rich and the rest of society. They're not just celebrations, they're statements of power and influence designed to impress and intimidate in equal measure. More than just a party, The social and political implications of these events are far-reaching. When you have a tech mogul, a former president, and a Hollywood A-lister chatting over cocktails, you can bet they're not just exchanging pleasantries. These parties create a unique ecosystem where influence and power are the real currency. Business deals worth billions can be sparked by a casual conversation at the bar. Political alliances that shape global policies might be formed over a game of golf. The mixing of celebrities and politicians adds another layer of intrigue. Imagine a world leader discussing foreign policy with a pop star, or a senator getting stock tips from a hedge fund manager between rounds of tennis. These interactions, hidden from public view, can have consequences that ripple through society. Sociologist Brooke Harrington notes that for the ultra-wealthy, the laws are nothing to them. They might as well not exist. This isn't just hyperbole. The decisions made at these gatherings can influence everything from market trends to government policies. Take the infamous Kappa Beta Phi dinner, for example. This secretive Wall Street society holds annual meetings where financial elites gather for a night of entertainment and camaraderie. But it's not all fun and games. These events often feature controversial humor and discussions that would raise eyebrows if they ever became public. It's like a real-life version of the smoke-filled rooms where decisions that affect millions are made over brandy and cigars. The influence of these parties extends beyond the business and political realms. They shape public perception of wealth and power in subtle but significant ways. Fish gatherings leak out, they can either inspire admiration or fuel resentment, depending on the viewer's perspective. For some, these parties represent the pinnacle of success, something to aspire to. They perpetuate the idea that extreme wealth is synonymous with happiness and fulfillment. On the other hand, they can also serve as stark reminders of the growing wealth inequality in our society. The sight of billionaires indulging in unimaginable luxury, while many struggle to make ends meet, can spark outrage and calls for change. The potential consequences of decisions made at these events are staggering. A casual remark about a company's future plans could send stock prices soaring or plummeting. A handshake deal between political figures might lead to policy shifts that affect millions of lives. The ripple effects can be felt across industries and borders. But here's where it gets really interesting. These parties have been known to lead to significant business deals and political shifts. One notable example occurred at a private gathering in Aspen, Colorado. Tech billionaire Elon Musk and Google co-founder Larry Page were in attendance, along with several prominent venture capitalists. What started as a casual conversation about the future of artificial intelligence turned into a heated debate about its potential dangers. The result? A multi-million-dollar investment in an AI safety research institute. This decision, made over cocktails and canapes, has had far-reaching implications for the development and regulation of AI technology. It's a prime example of how these seemingly frivolous parties can be catalysts for major industry shifts. These gatherings also serve as informal diplomatic channels. At a recent charity gala in New York, a Middle Eastern oil magnate was seen in deep conversation with a high-ranking US official. While the details of their discussion remained private, industry insiders noted a subtle shift in energy policies in the following months. It's these behind-the-scenes interactions that often shape global affairs, far from the public eye. The public eye. On one side, you have people who are captivated by the sheer opulence of these events. They eagerly consume every detail, from the designer outfits to the gourmet menus. It's escapism at its finest, a chance to peek into a world most of us will never experience firsthand. For some, these parties represent the ultimate aspiration, a symbol of success and achievement. But for every starry-eyed admirer, there's a harsh critic ready to call out the excess. In an era of growing wealth inequality, these extravagant displays can seem tone-deaf at best and morally bankrupt at worst. Social media platforms become battlegrounds, with users debating the ethics of such lavish spending while many struggle to make ends meet. These events don't just reflect individual tastes and spending habits, they're a mirror held up to society, revealing our complex relationship with wealth, power, and success. The reactions they provoke say as much about us as they do about the billionaires throwing the parties. Consider the backlash that followed Jeff Bezos' space launch celebration. While Bezos saw it as a milestone worth commemorating, many viewed it as an obscene display of wealth amid a global pandemic. The contrast between his $5.5 billion space journey and the struggles of Amazon workers became a flashpoint for discussions about income inequality and corporate responsibility. But here's where it gets complicated. Despite the criticism, there's an undeniable public appetite for content about these parties. Gossip columns and lifestyle magazines know that featuring billionaire bashes will boost their readership. It's a paradox. We criticize the excess while simultaneously consuming every detail. This fascination-criticism dynamic plays out in surprising ways. A recent study found that 72% of Americans believe billionaires should pay more in taxes, yet celebrity net worth websites continue to see record traffic. We're critical of extreme wealth, but we can't seem to look away. The controversy surrounding these parties often extends beyond the events themselves. Take the case of a tech billionaire's wedding in a California redwood forest. What was meant to be a fairy tale celebration turned into a PR nightmare when environmental groups accused the couple of damaging the delicate ecosystem. The backlash was swift and severe, forcing the billionaire to make a public apology and a substantial donation to conservation efforts. These incidents highlight a growing trend. Billionaires are finding it increasingly difficult to separate their personal lives from public scrutiny. Every party, every purchase, every philanthropic gesture is analyzed and critiqued. It's a level of scrutiny that would have been unthinkable a few decades ago. Social media has played a huge role in this shift. A single tweet or Instagram post can spark a firestorm of controversy. Remember when a billionaire's daughter posted photos of her $5 million wedding? The internet exploded with comparisons to the average cost of a wedding and discussions about inherited wealth. What was intended as a personal celebration became a catalyst for broader societal debates. But it's not all negative attention. Some billionaires have managed to turn public opinion in their favor by using their parties for good. Take the annual Met Gala, for instance. While it's undoubtedly a showcase of wealth and fashion, it's also a major fundraiser for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. In 2021, the event raised a record-breaking $16.75 million for the museum. This brings us to a surprising trend in public opinion about billionaire gatherings. A recent survey found that 65% of respondents were more favorable towards extravagant events that had a charitable component. It seems the public is willing to accept displays of wealth if they perceive some broader benefit to society. When parties go wrong, take the infamous President's Club charity dinner in London. On the surface, it was a ritzy fundraiser for good causes, but behind the scenes, a whole different story. The 2018 event made headlines for all the wrong reasons. An undercover reporter from the Financial Times exposed shocking behavior at the men-only gathering. Hostesses, many of them young students, were reportedly groped and harassed by attendees. They were required to wear skimpy outfits and had their phones confiscated. It was like stepping back in time to a 1960s gentleman's club, but with even worse behavior. The fallout was swift and severe. The President's Club shut down immediately. Prominent figures who attended faced public backlash and calls to resign from their positions. It wasn't just a PR nightmare, it was a career-ending disaster for some. But the President's Club scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. Billionaire parties gone wrong have a way of spiraling out of control, leaving reputations in tatters and businesses on shaky ground. Remember Sean Parker's lavish wedding in the redwoods of California? The Napster co-founder and former Facebook president thought he was creating a fairy tale celebration. Instead, he ended up with an environmental nightmare on his hands. Parker spent millions to transform a protected forest into a Lord of the Rings-inspired wonderland, but he forgot one tiny detail: getting the proper permits. The result? A $2.5 million settlement with the California Coastal Commission and a wave of bad press that painted him as an out-of-touch tech bro trampling on nature. The backlash didn't stop at environmental concerns. Many saw the event as a symbol of Silicon Valley excess, fueling debates about wealth inequality and tech industry privilege. Parker's attempt at a dream wedding became a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked extravagance. But here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes the scandal isn't about what happens at the party, it's about what the party represents. Take the case of Henry Nicholas, founder of Broadcom. His extravagant bashes became the stuff of legend in tech circles, but they also caught the attention of law enforcement. Nicholas was arrested and charged with securities fraud and drug distribution. Prosecutors alleged that he used company money to fund a debauched lifestyle, including lavish parties filled with drugs and prostitutes. Although Nicholas was eventually acquitted, the scandal tarnished his reputation and led to his resignation from Broadcom. The Nicholas case highlights a darker side of billionaire parties, the potential for illegal activities to flourish in an atmosphere of excess and privilege. When money seems unlimited and consequences feel distant, it's easy for things to spiral out of control. But not all party scandals are about illegal activities or environmental damage. Sometimes it's the sheer tone deafness that lands billionaires in hot water. Remember the infamous "let them eat cake" moment of the French Revolution? Well, modern billionaires have their own version. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when millions were struggling with job losses and health concerns, some ultra-wealthy individuals couldn't resist flaunting their privilege. Social media exploded with outrage over posts showing billionaires partying on private islands or hosting lavish gatherings while the rest of the world was in lockdown. These incidents might seem trivial compared to legal troubles or environmental damage, but in the court of public opinion, they can be just as damaging. They fuel resentment towards the ultra-wealthy and contribute to growing calls for wealth taxes and increased regulation of big tech.